Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Dario, who is going to be a promo character coming to the premiere wheel in RTS. He should pop up in your draft arenas this Tuesday, so keep an eye out if you do want to test this guy out yourself. Visually he looks pretty weird, I'm going to be honest. He's got like a flak jacket on as if he's going into a gunfight, and he's taking a sword. It's pretty interesting. The sword looks a lot like, I want to say like the Witcher sword. You can see on the left hand side he's got these like wolf heads on the hilts. Very interesting. Does look really nice, and I like the Shemag as well around his neck. Visually, I kind of like it, but it's kind of there's some confliction there. There's some confliction there. If we look at the stats at level 720, limit break 3, he has got 17,700 attack, 15,171 defense, and 17,700 HP. He is a strong character, considered a support character, mythic character of course, and he is another character to join the Road to Survival Allegiance. So I believe he would be the 5th Road to Survival Allegiance character, along with Sandy, Gator, Mirabelle, and I believe Erica. I could be wrong there, but I think Dario would round that off as a 5-character team. Now I'll go across to Dario's Adrenaline Rush. It is a 66 AP cost rush, and you deal 400% damage to up to 3 enemies. This character and up to 2 teammates get 70 crit for 3 turns. So again, pretty similar to the rush we saw of Gregory Grouch. He is more of a support character, not a damage dealer, but he's going to do a little bit of damage. 400% to 3. It's not huge, but it's going to potentially take down a couple of characters down in HP, which will allow other characters to inflict more damage. The crit is going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Dario himself gets any bonuses from crit, but other teammates obviously will, especially your damage dealers. If you have got, let's say, Michonne 2000 in a team with him, she's going to crit more often, and that means that her rampage attacks are going to happen more often. He is a strong character, so he's got more chance to like team up with someone like Michonne 2000. But it is still going to be good if you just have him teamed up with the normal Michonne or like a Lydia. You know, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Crit is always good on these characters. So yeah, crit more often with damage dealers, higher damage. Can't complain too much there. Okay, so we have got the Adrenaline Rush up of Dario here, and we will target the fast character. Target fast characters on defense teams with a strong character. Now, the person I target will take 400% damage, but the other 2 enemies are going to be completely random. Sometimes that can be fine, sometimes that can be a negative. But we'll hit the rush button. Big rush comes in, 400% damage to 3, and it is going to also hit Laurie in the top right-hand corner, and also in the bottom left-hand corner it will hit Garrett. So you'll see the damage come in, but you also see the buff come out, and it has gone to Glenn and Rick. It is always going to go to Dario. The other 2 characters that get buffed on your team will be completely random. It isn't going to go to specific roles. It will just be 2 of the characters that are alive on your team currently. Now if we just jump straight into the upgrades of the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 3 it gets 1 crit up target. So it goes from 1 extra teammate to 2 extra teammates. At grade 5 it gets 1 damage target, so it goes from 2 enemies to 3 enemies on a 300% hit. At limit break 2 it will get a 30 crit boost, so it will go from 40 crit to 70 crit. And at limit break 3 it will get a 100% damage boost, and it will go from 300% to 3 to 300, or to 400% to 3, should I say. So if you do want to get the best out of this damage wise, you're going to have to get 5 of this dude. But as he is a support character, that isn't necessarily going to be the most important part of this rush. This could just be seen as a bonus. We'll have to see the rest of his kit to see what he has to offer. Now if you didn't notice in the intro, he is actually an attack leader, and I'm just highlighting this because when you're an attack leader, you can be surrounded by 4 1535s and have a 1535 weapon yourself, and your damage output could be put up to 100, 120,000. He is a strong character too, so strong attacks could come in. So this 400% definitely could be amplified massively compared to if this character was, let's say, alert. So next up we'll check out his signature move, and it is called Harm and Focus. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Deal 200% damage to a single enemy, 2 other teammates get focused for 3 turns. Now I know what you're thinking, why would I use Dario as an attack leader when we have Negan who has this inbuilt into his leader skill, but for everybody? The issue right now is a lot of characters are removing focus, and this guy is going to be giving focus to your team after those removals can come in. For instance, Morgan on defense team, I believe Marcus as well. Uncle Sam can do it every turn, he's got 80% chance. So you can bypass on turn 2 an Uncle Sam with 2 of your teammates. This is actually not too bad at all, but it is going to be completely RNG who that focus goes to. If you are going to run the kind of normal standard setup, which I see by a lot of people, which is basically leader plus 1 medic or 2 support characters, and then plus 2 damage dealers, it could potentially go to the 2 support characters. It does say 2 other teammates, so it should never go to Dario. So I guess it's kind of like 50-50 if it's going to go to your damage dealers in that case. But if it does, you're going to be able to bypass a human shield, which is very nice. But that's pretty much what this guy offers. It is a bit weird. It is turn 1. I guess you could do it turn 1 if you saw someone who had a first turn control in on the defense team, someone like Connor or someone like Mirabelle, if you wanted to just counter that. But otherwise, you'd want to save this till turn 2. When the Uncle Sam does their actual human shield, you can do his signature move, give focus to teammates to actually bypass. Okay, so just to show you this in action, I have saved his signature move till turn 2 because I saw there's an Uncle Sam on this defense team. Unless it is a very specific character I want to target behind Uncle Sam first that I didn't manage to finish off on turn 1. For instance, I lined up all my attacks on a Doc Stevens and I didn't manage to finish him off, but I could potentially finish him off with a Lydia or a Michonne and get that decapping almost guaranteed, but I have to bypass the human shield. I can only select the human shield. I'm trying to select the other character, it doesn't let me, but if I do Dario's signature move here, you can see 2 characters will get focused that is not Dario. It will be Harper and Glenn in this case. If I had 4 teammates, it would be pretty much 50-50 who it would be going to. And now I can select these enemies. Now if I try and attack, let's say, Maggie with Rick, you'll see that he just attacks Uncle Sam straight away. So you have to be very aware with which characters you are going to be targeting with afterwards. But you'd be able to bypass human shield otherwise with the characters that did get the focus, which is very, very good. Now looking at the upgrades of his signature move, you can see at grade 1, it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from 3 turns down to 2 turns. At grade 4, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from 2 turns down to 1 turn. At limit break 1, it goes to +1 focus duration, so it goes from a 2-turn focus to a 3-turn focus to 2 teammates. It will always be 2 teammates regardless, but at limit break 1, it just gets an extra turn. 3 turns is nice, but again, 2 turns is also pretty good. The only thing is that once this is up on teammates, then passives, signature moves and stuff of the enemy team can still disable this. So just be aware it isn't guaranteed that this is going to stay on those characters, but if you time it correctly, you can use it to bypass certain situations like a human shield. Now Dario of course has some mythic abilities. These are his passive skills, and at first up he has got cunning because he is a support character, so he is 30% less likely to trigger enemy weapon effects and walker effects, be it when he is attacked or when he attacks. This is an actual flat reduction, so if a weapon has a 30% chance to do something, let's say Mr. Lou's pistol has a 30% chance to do infection, Dario will never actually proc that weapon if he has his cunning completely maxed out, which is actually really powerful. Incapacitate is the second one. At the start of each wave, 100% chance one enemy gets stunned, dazed, and impair for 2 turns. Like, he gets everything. Absolutely everything. Well, this is basically to stop there being a potential of resist coming in on that character, I guess. But that character could get cleansed. It is worth noting it could get cleansed. For instance, if it was a Headcracker character and they resisted the stun, they could hit a crit and cleanse the daze and the impair. There is a slight chance for the self, but there is also other characters that could potentially, you know, do full cleanses in the future. I think there are some characters that exist that can do it right now as well. The next one is called Stop Hiding, At the start of each turn, 100% chance to remove camouflage from a single enemy. Now, we have seen camouflage pop up recently, and there are characters that are going to get much more powerful within certain allegiances. For instance, Typhoon. If you have a full Typhoon defense team with Jia Feng in it in the future, you're going to have a lot of camouflage because, you know, that has a chance to proc every single turn, whereas he has a 100% chance to remove it from one single character, which is actually going to be pretty important potentially in certain scenarios. Last up is going to be Head First. When attacking, 100% chance to gain absolute defense and reduce reflected damage to 0. Reflected damage is things like mods and I believe any passives that actually indicate it is reflected damage. I do not believe things like Bide are considered reflect damage. I think Bide would be considered counter damage. We'll test it out, but I'm fairly certain that Bide is considered counter damage, so it would not reduce that to 0. But let's say if he had a Mercer to attack, or if there were mods on the team, like I say, he's going to be guaranteed to reduce that to 0, which is actually pretty useful in a lot of scenarios. Certain characters even reflect when you do rushes, so it isn't just about basic attacks or signature moves. So, and any future character that comes out that has reflect in their passives would instantly be countered by Dario here. Okay, so we're going to start the fight, and as you can see, I removed camouflage from Jia Feng straight off the bat. So that is because I have a 100% chance to remove one camouflage. Now, if it was an entire Typhoon team, there would still be 4 camouflages up, so it'd be still very powerful. Now, you can see Mr. Lu got hit with the control, and this is actually pretty good against resilient characters because it's hitting them with multiple potential controls. Only 2 of them did hit. The Impair got resisted. Obviously, Mr. Lu has a 50% resist against everything, but Mr. Lu also got stunned and dazed. Now, we'll just double check that the Bide damage doesn't get counted here. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. When I do my signature move here, I should still take Bide damage because, like I said, I think it's seen as counter damage. But if he does reduce this to 0, it would be a 100% counter to Bide characters. I don't think it's going to be the case though. So I'm just going to do the damage, and we are still going to take Bide damage. Okay, so Bide characters aren't completely written off against Dario, but a lot of people do use reflect mods on their Bide characters as well because it's almost like double reflect. You know, you have counter and reflect happening. But he would 100% reduce any reflect mods down to 0, any reflect passives down to 0, any reflect weapons down to 0. And that's going to work in raids and war. And you know that can be very frustrating. If you've got that last character alive and you have to take them out, you could potentially one-shot one of your team when they've got like 10 HP, because that's just how it works. And this guy's just going to be able to finish that character off, 0 chance of any reflect being an issue. Now, we'll take a look at the upgrades for the passives here. You can see he gets the first half of Incapacitate. So 50% chance one enemy will get stunned, dazed, and impair for 2 turns at grade 1. You'll get the first half of Cunning as is usual at grade 2. At grade 3, he gets the second half of Incapacitate. So that's a lot of, you know, chance. That's 100% chance, but that's a lot of control. It's guaranteed to happen at the beginning of every single fight. And if you take him onto something like SR, it will happen at the beginning of every single wave of SR. Right now, that's not an issue, but in the future, you know that SR is potentially going to get more difficult. This is actually going to be very, very useful against those terribly hard stages. Next up, we have Stop Hiding Part 1, which is 50% chance to remove camouflage for a single enemy. At grade 5, we get Head First Part 1, which is 50% chance to gain absolute defense and reduce reflected damage to 0 at grade 5. And at Limit Break 1, he gets the second half of Cunning as is usual. Stop Hiding Part 2 at Limit Break 2, bringing that chance up to 100% chance to remove camouflage from a single enemy. And then lastly, at Limit Break 3, he gets Head First 2, which means 100% chance to reduce reflected damage down to 0. Now, Dario does have a leader skill, and it is all strong and tough characters get 30% attack and 30 crits. This is going to be nice for characters with rampage weapons, and there are rampage weapons in both of those traits, getting a crit boost and an attack boost. That is quite a reasonably high attack boost here. I believe that's higher than Negan, so you are going to get some higher damage output because of this character if you do use him as a leader. And because you can use strong and tough together here, you could use like 1 or 2 tough characters, 3 strong characters, and still utilize a strong attacks weapon with a command, and then have like a command and a tough character in the same team. The combos are going to be pretty decent with this leader, I think. I think that's two of the nicest things you can put together. Strong attacks and rampage weapons. Yes, please. So we'll start the fight, and we'll see that we have got 3 strong characters, a tough character, and a fast character. And you see there's no crit buff on any of these characters. And I'm just going to say it has been a while since we've had crit on the lead skill. It doesn't work like a buff. It's going to be a constant state. So people are going to have the 30 crit constantly. But Lydia did not get the 30 crit or the 30% attack. So her damage is going to be reduced. But characters like Andrea 2000, when she attacks, she's got more chance to hit a rampage attack. And so does Michonne 2000. Both of these characters will get the crit boost. And it just gives you more chance to hit rampages off of the early turns. It will also help with obviously anything else that does require a character to hit crit. Be it a specialist skill like confounding or head cracker. This will obviously get a boost because of this leader skill. Now, Dario does have an attached weapon, and it is Dario's Revival Wolf Head Sword. So I was correct, it is a Wolf Head Sword there. 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and in the 3rd slot it has Teammate Reviving. When taking out a target, a better chance to revive a teammate with 40% HP and 100% defense for 1 turn. Now, this is actually not too bad for a leader. You do want to put a 1535 in the 4th slot here, but I would upgrade this and utilize it because it eventually could get to 50% attack, a huge bonus, and then 1535 in the last slot. And that's going to be a lot of damage output that Dario can give to his teammates and also to himself. And like I said, if he is surrounded by 1535s as well, I myself have got another 30% attack leader, Aiko, up to over 100,000 damage before. So his rush is going to be amplified, his signature move, his basic attacks. And as long as he's taking out targets, he has a chance to revive anyone who has been down. So it is actually pretty decent. And if you do team him up with someone like Michonne 2000, that way you've got 2 characters in the team that are potentially reviving when they take out an enemy. So this is Gold Mythic Dario, and he is the 3rd, I believe, attack leader to be a strong character. This one is going to be for strong and tough characters, and his lead skill is going to work with what a lot of people will look for in some of those characters, and the kind of teams I see him being built towards will be those rampage based weapons, Michonne 2000, plus a tough damage dealer to hit crits. We haven't really had a tough damage dealer in recent times to come out. We still have got quite a lot of the old school damage dealers like just normal Andrea. Still hits very hard, so keep an eye out for potential future damage dealers to come out that are tough characters, and I'm going to be very interested to see what comes out there, honestly, because tough characters can be brutal, especially teamed up with those weapons. So we'll have to see what comes out in the future. But I like Dario. He's pretty decent, but he's not going to get the job done alone. It is definitely about the characters you take with him, but he is going to enable other characters to do a pretty good job. I like the fact that he can reduce damage on Reflect and stuff down to 0, because I personally find Reflect massively frustrating. You see me in my war streams and stuff, a lot of the time that is the thing that counters a lot of the things I do. So having Dario in here to sort of sap up those Reflect damage procs, yes please, I like that quite a lot. But do give me your thoughts on Gold Mythic Dario. How would you use him in a team? Do you think he's a good attack leader? Is there anything you'd want to change in his kit just to make it a little bit better in your mind? Let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.